Good morning, this is Johnny here on the Kohala Coast of the Big Island of Hawaii. It's April 20th, 2023. I trust that everybody has recovered from the 18th when probably the majority of you wrote your annual big check to Uncle Sam. So it's time to look forward and put that behind us. Today I'd like to talk about the market here on the Big Island. Again, I'm not going to cite a bunch of specific numbers and percentages and all that kind of stuff. But one thing that I see happening here, basically with regard to prices, is a reversion to the mean. And as far as I'm concerned, that's one of the iron laws of economics. Over the long term, everything reverts to the mean. I've had a lot of personal experience with this when I was on the mainland and when I had my asphalt milling business. We were fortunate enough to have our timing just right, and we bought a machine that basically made my competition's machines obsolete. And I was all of a sudden I was a new entrant into the market. I had I could be twice as productive as my competitors. I knew what they were bidding because essentially it was all public work, and the prices were published. And so I chose to bid what my competitors were bidding, although I could have undercut them quite a bit, and to make more money. And so anyway, for 2 or 3 or 4 years, it was just a golden time for me in my business career. But eventually, things reverted to the mean. And how they reverted to the mean is everyone ended up buying that was in the business, got rid of their legacy equipment, and bought what I had. And then at that point, the law of economics took over, and prices are dropping. Prices dropped precipitously, and it wasn't nearly as lucrative. Luckily, right about at that point, when that trend was firmly established, someone bought my company, and I lucked out basically. Cashed out, and moved over to the Big Island of Hawaii to retire, which I did for a couple of years, and now I started doing this. In much the same way, the prices of properties here on the Big Island, at least in my opinion, are reverting to the mean. I've mentioned in these talks before that I follow a guy named Paul Brubaker, who is as an economist and has been one for many years and has a whole lot of data about the Hawaiian market. I think I also mentioned that over time, over like 40 years, what you can expect with respect to appreciation is an annual rate of right around 4%. Now, obviously, during the pandemic, prices rose a whole lot more than that, and now are somewhat coming back down to the mean, especially with respect to single-family homes. That's what appreciated initially the most, because no one early in the pandemic wanted to be around anybody. Condos started appreciating when people could get here, and the prices had lessened somewhat, so condos are catching up. As a matter of fact, condos have not really fallen all that much, at least in the resorts and the markets that I have, and are really not at the mean. So, that's just an iron law of economics. And still, long term, there's still several factors that are supporting the prices here on the Kohala Coast of the Big Island. The first one is a lack of inventory. It's still very low by historical standards. The second one is that you can't hardly build anything here. There's one property in Maui up what is it, a Maui Villas up in the Mauna Kea is the only new stuff that's really coming on the market, and it is selling out very, very quickly. But when that thing is sold out, if there's only 3 or 4 left, then we're back to where we always are with no new inventory. So that's one factor. The second factor is demographic. There's still all of us baby boomers retiring, and it's a whole lot of them dream to live in Hawaii. So the demographics are favorable. And the third one is even though the work from home phenomenon is kind of leveled off, and you read headlines about people having to go back to the office and so on, I think a lot of that is going to be permanent. I was listening to Paul Brubaker yesterday, and he estimated 20 to 25% of people here in Hawaii work at least part-time from home, and I think that's probably pretty true on the mainland, and that has huge implications for the housing market. So anyway, that's how I see things in general terms. I hope everybody's having a good morning. It's a beautiful morning here in Hawaii. I feel like I could reach out and touch one of the volcanoes, and I'm getting ready to have a wonderful day. Aloha.